This happened when I was 9. My parents were getting us ready to leave, but I had incoming diarrhea. I lined up for the bathroom, 3 people ahead of me. I was desperately holding it in for the next 5 minutes. When it was my turn, I ran in, locked the doors, and pulled my pants down, but I did not make it to the toilet. There it was in the middle of the bathroom, a piping hot chocolate soft serve. I grabbed a bunch of tissue and scooped some of it into the toilet, and left a few smears on the seat. 9 years old me panicking while the next person is knocking on the door. Also at this point, my parents have been waiting for me for about 10 minutes already. I washed my hands, left the bathroom, and pulled the door close as I exit so I won't get an immediate reaction. I then ran out of McDonald's. I am deeply sorry to the staff that had to clean my mess and the person who tried to go in after me. I'm 27. I'm a virgin. I feel like there are entire aspects of life I'm missing out on. It makes and feels sad and I'm always lonely. But I've decided to stop trying to get laid and to just have fun and live my life. I'm only this age once and I feel like the best thing I can do is be positive. To clarify, I was never the type of weird incel. I don't ever call myself that. A virgin is bad enough, lol, to act as people owed me their bodies or time. Nor do I wear a fedora or call myself a nice guy. I don't assume I should get laid just because I have good behavior. The fact guys like that exist bothers me. But it's fair to say I've been needy. And boring. And annoying. And I could stand to lose a few pounds. I don't have a college degree. And up until 1 week ago, I was living in my parents' basement. I kicked myself out, baby. I moved from Utah to Washington. I'm starting a new life. I found a new job. I'm currently looking for a better one cause my new boss is kinda shady, and I've been exploring the Washington and Oregon areas cause I live right in the border. I'm getting back into books and my art. I'm gonna start school as soon as I can, and I'm hoping that I can meet a few people who can stand to look at me naked. We'll see how that goes. I'm autistic though, super awkward. So I don't exactly know how to go about the whole, hey you wanna have sex thing. So if any of you kind Redditors, especially those with lots of dating experience, feel like you have any advice to give, feel free to respond to this message or shoot me a DM. A couple of years ago I stopped to look at a house for rent. I approached the house and pulled into the driveway on my motorcycle. Upon removing my helmet, I felt a tap on my shoulder. To my surprise, I turned around to find a very attractive 30-plus-year-old woman standing behind me. She began the conversation by telling me that she lived across the street in the neighboring apartment complex. She then began to tell me that she knew the owner of the house for rent and that he also owned the apartment complex. She offered to show me some of the apartments, so I agreed and followed her. Finally, after showing me a few, she took me into her own and toured the place. The last stop was her bedroom. I knew where things were going, and being a young 20-ish male, I was intimidated by her sexual prowess. I panicked and told her I had to leave. A couple of years later we reconnected, and this time after taking her to dinner, we had a wild encounter on her couch. I can now proudly say that I am a cub to a cougar. As embarrassed as I am to say. I got to live out one of my biggest fantasies, and if I died tomorrow, I would have no regrets. Ever since I was a kid, I've had an unstable relationship with my mother. She would constantly move places and sometimes I'd be living countries away from her. Growing up, I ever so desperately wanted her attention, approval, and love, but felt like I never got that. In my formative, young teen, adolescent ages, I would literally only see her twice in a year. When my biological parents divorced at a young age, my mother met my stepfather. I felt that my mother spent and directed most of her attention towards him and neglected me as a child, emotionally. Occasionally I was jealous of the fact that he, my stepfather, got to share a bed with my mother. This is probably due to the fact that I'd hop into her bed whenever I had nightmares and seek comfort from her. Even now at a grown age, I still resent my mother and am jealous of the attention my stepdad receives from her. I am also jealous of other people that have a good relationship with their mother, and wish I had one with mine. It's fucked up, but sometimes when I'm at my lowest I'll attack my stepfather and taunt him, telling him he isn't good enough for her in some weird hopes that he will divorce my mother. It's sad though because I know he makes her happy. But I wish she would just spend more time with me instead. Yep, you read it right. I'm one of those people that suddenly popped up on your inbox, tell a sob story, and ask for help. I do this since the beginning of the pandemic. Why? Because I was laid off and I didn't tell my wife and kids, although I kept my company ID, so I have an excuse to go out. So I'll be going out in the morning, go to the nearest open establishment or go to hospital church to open my phone and surf and data, then I do the begging. I can say that there is a lot of very kind people that help me, although I know myself that it's a lie. I don't particularly ask for any amount, I just say that I'm okay to any amount that you're okay to give, that's it. I managed to get enough money to help us live through for a couple of months, I think 4 months to be exact. I don't know really, I guess life just that hard this past few days, and it's really hard to get a job nowadays on where I am. I hope things to get back normal, there's a lot of shit and things that I admit, but begging really hit me hard.
Last year, when I was 16, I was stalking the Facebook profile of a former romantic partner who I hated. It wasn't anything official, but it was complicated. Long story short, he was a manipulative creep. I was feeling especially resentful that night, and looking for photos of him to roast in my head. I was digging into the reactions of his public posts, hoping to find friends who'd posted some more pics of him. That was when I found a woman who appeared to be another ex-partner of his. From what I know based on her public posts, she seemed to have left him for reasons that were not too different from my own. We also have seemed to have a similar sense of humor with similar music tastes. Since then, I've been checking up on her profile a couple of times a month. I don't hold a lot of resentment for my ex anymore, but the fact that we share the same ex makes me feel like I'm visiting an old friend. I fantasized a couple of times about waiting until I'm financially independent to message her and say something like, "Hello. I've been stalking you because we share the same toxic ex, wanna be friends." But somehow in a less creepy way. I'm aware that this'll probably never happen in real life. I feel an emotional connection with this woman, who I've never met or talked to before. Something's up with me, lol.
I'm in my late 40s and never grew out of a nasty habit. I can't help taking an extra minute to smell my own socks at the end of the day. Sometimes I just kick off my shoes and sit there waiting for the odor to waft up. My wife once caught me in the act of sniffing a sock and called it disgusting. I threw it down like I agreed with her. I sure couldn't admit I get a kick out of checking to find out how bad they are. Maybe it's a guy thing or maybe it's just plain weird. Either way, I needed to confess.